Have you heard of it before?
We use it.
Okay, great. And how has it been for you?
Wonderful.
Good. Okay. So then what I think I'll do today with you all, since you already use it, in order to maximize, kind of talk about some of the new things that have rolled out for enhancements and some of the things that are coming within the next few months, which is exciting, which you can't share because they haven't been released, but very exciting. Because we're actually looking at streamlining the enrollment process for families, even more than it currently is, along with organizations. So that will be coming in the spring. But tell me, how long have you used ShopWithScrip currently?
6, 7, 8 years.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I mean,
Okay.
I've been with the preschool 14 years. So it's been a majority of the time I've been there.
Okay. Okay. So, so have you used the new Raise Right app much?
I did put it on my own device.
Mhm.
However, because our organization is not electronically connected to you, we always just send in a physical check.
Okay.
We've been hesitant to roll it out to our families only
Mhm.
because they're looking at ease of payment. They don't want to
Okay.
have to write a check, but
Mhm.
that's kind of where we're at the moment.
Yep. Yep.
Knowing that for them to use Raise Right completely mobile the way it's intended is not going to work for our organization at this time.
Okay, because they want to do check.
The organization is requiring a physical check to be written to your organization, not a bank connection electronically.
Got it. Got it. So it does limit you on some of that. So a couple of the things, well, first of all, if you end up transitioning over ever, or if somebody from the organization does want to, in addition to the Raise Right app, now on that, because of COVID and kind of having to pivot and shift, we have the ship to home.
Yes.
So they can ship directly to home. For your organization, I'm assuming that you use where people will either go on and then they'll just say pay with check and they submit that to you, correct? So they still can use the app in that way.
Absolutely.
So that's a great thing. The ship to home, they will still be able to use with the payment. They will just be submitting the check to you and you'll just release that in that orders. So it's a really nice addition, especially with the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a good thing. We also this week, if it isn't out there already, we've just recently added a whole slew of $10 and $5 gift cards. We have more this year than we've ever had before, specifically around, again, people looking at wanting to share more. Hello, welcome. People wanting to, share more for the holidays with gift cards, but not necessarily wanting to have the higher dollar amount. So certainly that is one of the things. The other thing you can do you do the paper flyer form out ever?
We have made our own based on just preferences of our families, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So we've always given them the option to go online and, write in what they want if it's not on our written form. So we typically do that.
And you use the customizable one, or do you actually physically make it yourself?
I think the template was made by our staff.
Okay, so we now have, in addition to what you're probably using, we actually have a customizable one on our site. So when you go in, you actually have a drop down, you just add those. So you type in Walmart and it would populate it. You put which dollar amounts you want. It populates it out. You can then send it in a PDF, an editable PDF, or you can print it out, which is kind of a nice addition to that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and welcome from Emmanuel. So are you a current user with Emmanuel Day School or new? Oh, I'm gonna be on mute.
Sorry, I'm using a different computer than I usually use.
You're all good.
We have not used Script in any way at our school before.
Okay, okay. So we have a current school with Tori and Michelle on, and then I'll kind of give you a high level then, if that's okay, Tori, and then I'll talk a little bit more. So not sure how familiar you are with Shop with Script gift card fundraising. It's always nice to have people that have used it and currently use it because it's a great place for people to ask questions. So the idea behind it is instead of people having to buy cookie dough or wrapping paper and all of that and deal with the distribution and going house to house, this offers a contactless way for people to raise funds for their school without having to have people buy anything extra. It's just changing how they pay for items. So families purchase gift cards at full face value. They can spend them at their leisure whenever they want. With that purchase of the full face value, we at Shop with Script have worked with the brands that are represented. There's 750, actually more than that now, brands that are represented. We do a rebate back to the school on that first Monday of the month, unless you're paying like with Tori and Michelle with a check, on the first Monday of the month back into the account. So if you set up a banking account, everything can be done in an automated way. So it can be, families can go on to our Raise Right app. They can purchase e-cards, physical cards. They can purchase, do reloadable or reloads on those physical cards that they've already purchased. And all of that can be done and managed in their wallet or shipped to home. If you're doing now, Tori and Michelle are at Good Shepherd, they do it where they do a complete check system. So, and Tori, you probably are more well-versed on how you all run yours.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, I'm just the coordinator for the first time this year, but I've, been learning.
Is there a way that they then would just do it all themselves online, like where they log into a website and they would maybe pay it with a credit card so that I don't touch the money?
Yes, that is. So about 90% of our organizations operate just in how you're describing. With Tori and Michelle with Good Shepherd, they have a limitation that they're not allowed to connect a bank account with some school rules. So they do have to do check. Most schools will do it where you will connect your bank account with us. So you'll submit your banking information. Then what we do is we have it all connected. It's all secure, so you don't have to worry about people accessing an account. We use your account information just for dropping those funds in there, depositing those in. Families can order 2 ways or 3 ways. The main 2 ways are they can go on to shopwithscrip.com and shop physically on their desktop, or we now have the new Raise Right mobile app, and that makes it, to me, it's even simpler. I always show mine. It looks like that. I don't know if you can see very well. Families will link a bank account, a credit card, whatever they like. It's 15 cents for a transaction, no matter how much it is if they use a bank account. If they use a credit card, it's a 2.6% fee. And if they choose to pay the organization and you allow checks and cash, then there, of course, is no fee. So you can limit that. Right now, the majority of our organizations are doing contactless, so they're not allowing checks and cash to be submitted. Just the majority. And I know that you, Tori and Michelle, are limited on that. But that's what most are doing. When they go on to purchase, they would go and they would shop their brands, looking at what brands they have. That purchase is made, and then it's stored in their wallet. So everything is automated. They don't have to worry about having any contact with the school or the organization. They do it all themselves and manage it. And then, as I said, that first Monday of the month is when that is deposited back into the school's account. Now with Tori and Michelle, they're accepting cash and check. So what they do is they go in and they approve those orders that come in and say, yes, we have been paid for them. It creates a PO. They submit a check back to us, less that rebate amount that they would have because they're getting the cash up front.
And what is the normal rebate amount?
Great question. So it ranges between 2 and 20%. It averages out to about 7.5% when you take everything across the board and what people purchase. Gas and grocery are about 3 to 4% when we have bonuses. Those tend to be the most popular. Visa gift cards are popular because we have no activation fees on anything we have. But then if you get into clothing like Kohl's or Athleta and Gap and all of those, Bath and Body Works, they're 14 to 17%. So it all really depends, but it averages out to about 7.5% back to your organization. If you are doing it completely automated, let's say where you're not collecting cash and checks, so you're only allowing people to go on and buy e-cards or ship to home on those physical cards, it took me, on average, I spend a little under an hour a month doing it, just kind of going in and checking. And I would send out kind of PDFs to everybody. We have reports that can be run where a family can see exactly how much they've earned. The other option with schools is many private and parochial schools will do a split. So they'll give a portion to families that goes to tuition reimbursement and a portion that goes to the school. And that tends to be the most successful programs ever. Because it's I hate to say it, but the what's in it for me, right? Like if I'm going to get 20 or 30% towards my tuition or 50% or whatever that is, I have a really vested interest to start. And Tori's like, yes. You have a vested interest because there's something that you're getting back for it. Everything that we have, most schools that do that, there's a report you can run. It can be uploaded in a CSV, Excel, whatever your school system uses. You just add a column on for the percent that goes back to each of those families because those lines are broken out by family, and then they just apply that to the family's account each month. So there's no physical cash transferred then, but it's a really great way to increase sales. It is the number one way.
So I have a question. I'm so old school with Scrip. I mean, when you and I were connecting, yeah, I was like, well, I think I've heard of this. So, I mean, this is going back probably 14 years ago. And my kid's school had a binder. And somebody carried around this binder worth thousands and thousands of dollars because they pre-purchased all the cards and they had them in pockets and then you could pay for them. Now, I think there was a time that either this person was connected with my church, but they would come and sit outside the sanctuary after a Sunday service because it allowed people to just buy it right then, right? So it was just quick. You have $20, you want to buy a $20 gift card to to Kroger or to Kohl's, whatever you're going to kind of do today. You kind of catch those people in this is such an easy way to give back. Are there still programs that do buy a little bit kind of ahead of time? I mean, I'm just thinking, preschool, you can get your families are used to the technology. Congregational members, maybe not. How can you kind of get your whole congregation to support your school in a way that doesn't require the technology?
Yes, no, that's a great question, Corey. We have a large number of our churches that do. Large number of churches that actually utilize it in just the way you're describing. They'll keep a file or that binder and pre-buy. And they get to know kind of what their members buy. So they can really keep up an inventory, a correct inventory that maximizes it. Those $5 and $10 ones, they will buy them, and I kid you not, in the $20,000, $30,000 range over the holidays because they know the congregation is going to come. It's an easy way to support it. One of the other things that we've started to see is a lot of schools now doing a limited number, whether it's just Starbucks or a fast food or a Subway, or like a Jamba Juice, where they actually encourage families. They give them each, say, $50 in cards and say, you're giving us the 50, you can sell them. and therefore it's their fundraiser without, again, selling something. It's then having people buy something, but it's something that's usable in a really practical way. So we have a lot of them doing that. We also have a lot of organizations, to your point, that are buying that inventory up front for local grocery and gas, especially if they know that they can kind of double dip. So many of the grocery stores will let you get your points towards the school or the extra bonuses if you spend at the grocery store. And the gift cards work the same as that. So I'll use Amazon as an example. If you buy an Amazon gift card, it's, I think, 2.5%, I have to remember, back. But when you pay, and if you are registered for Amazon Smiles, you can use Amazon Smiles. And so you not only get the rebate back to the school, but the school also gets the Amazon Smiles points. So those are ones they tend to promote more if they're buying physical cards, ones that they can sort of double dip, quote unquote. Questions so far? Anyone? I ran it when it was paper, as Corey and I talked about originally. It was, you only could do paper and everybody submitted it and there was checks and it was just crazy. Now it is very, very, very simple. I always encourage people, really promote the Thanksgiving Day, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks. Those are a bonus day where we have, I think, about 300 of our gift cards that will be on bonus, and that's normally at almost double is what most organizations do for that Thanksgiving Day. So that's a really huge one. And then Amazon will be running another special with, I think, 3.25% back, which is a huge one. So yeah, definitely those are good things to promote out. If people have the app or they opt in to get those emails, then they get them. Otherwise, we do not. If you have an email list on your account, we do not access that. We do not market to people unless they opt into our marketing. So always know that. People assume that everybody's getting the information, but they're not unless they've opted in.
Stephanie, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you have those special days or special weeks where we get a bigger bonus, so now the way we do it is we submit an order once a month on a certain day.
Mhm.
So if that day does not land in that special week, do we not get to take advantage of the special?
You know what, that is a great question. If the individuals have paid by credit card or debit on that day, even though you're submitting the order to have it shipped to you, then it does. It's whatever the date the purchase is. If it's a check, I believe, and I will double check on this and get that answer to Corey for you all. I believe it goes on the date that you actually submit the order, but I want to double check on that because I don't know, and that's a great question.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, I'm writing a note here. Great. Okay, I've got that down. Other questions?
Stephanie, so I just talked to people around church before I came on here, like our church secretary and stuff. They'd never even heard of Scripps.
Right.
Which was shocking.
We're the
to me.
25-year-old company nobody knows about.
Which was shocking to me. Well, and from where I'm from, we did Scripps. We did Scripps at our church, my previous church. We did Scripps for my kids in high school and stuff. So I guess my question then would be, what would be the best way to introduce something like this and get something started?
Great question. And so what state are you in? I have to ask.
I'm in Texas.
Okay, you're in Texas, yes. So yeah, it is funny. And we are, just so everybody knows, Raise Right, the mobile app, is really what our name change is going towards. We didn't want to roll it out all at once and have people be like, well, was ShopWithScrip stolen or sold or what, what is going on? So we didn't want people to think that all of a sudden it was just gone. So we're changing it to Raise Right. ShopWithScrip, people have no idea what script is. They think it's a prescription, all of that. So it's always crazy. So Raise Right is the new name. So you'll see it kind of transition over to Raise Right if anybody ever asks. if you look us up on the Better Business Bureau, you can look under both. So we have kind of a fundraising 101 guide that can be downloaded off of the website. I always say that's a great place. It answers those kind of overarching questions and describes the program the best. Certainly we have a PowerPoint that people can use. We have a couple of videos. If you go on, there's some videos. There's a 3-minute video I think really defines it very well if you're showing it to a new group. So you don't have to really explain what it is. But there is always that hesitancy, right? Like people go, well, I don't know. I can't find the name anywhere, or I've never heard of them. And so also happy to give references for anybody that that has questions and wants to kind of see who we are and understand it a bit better. But that fundraising guide to me is the easiest way to explain it.
And what is that website?
It's ShopWithScrip, with just a P, not a T, SCRIP.com. And I can put that in the chat too.
Yeah, and Victoria, it's really easy to get to. If you go to our website and go to the bottom, they've got a featured link there and you can just click right on that link.
Okay, thank you.
And I would give you a small bit of advice for what it's worth. If you're trying to earn money for just your school, maybe give the people something they're working towards. Like, we want to buy a new whiteboard or smart board for classroom A, so that they know, oh, I'm going to really try to buy some gift cards. So I'm actually helping to purchase that my son will be in next year. So that's my bit of advice.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tori. I think everybody, that's always something I tell people about asking their congregation for funds for their school as well. If you just say, hey, the preschool, is trying to raise money, they're like, oh, well, what are you doing wrong? Right? What are you doing wrong that you're not sustaining yourself? And, but when they know that it's for specific things, we need to increase the technology we have to better serve families that aren't able to come. We need upgraded playground information because here's best practice in outdoor classrooms. They just feel more compelled to give if they have a specific item or event in mind. Welcome back, Stephanie. You're muted now.
There we go. I apologize. I'm working at my mom's this week because they had to do some repairs on my house. And I was telling Corey, it's got horrible Wi-Fi here. So it keeps crashing on me. I apologize. But you sounded like I've hired Corey on now. No, she's the new spokesperson. No, I think it's great though to have, if you have a purpose or a reason, I think is what you were talking about. And that is, like I said, whether it be tuition reimbursement or playground equipment, or one school actually did a really creative thing. It was one of the ELEA schools, and I have to remember the name of it. They couldn't give money specifically to tuition. It was in Ohio, and it was a school they were like, we aren't able to do that. But what they could do is they could link it. So when a family registered, they put their name in the child's classroom, and 10% of what they earned went to their child's classroom teacher to build a library. So it went back to the school, but for a family, it gave a very personal reason because it was benefiting their child. So people do all different things. Any other questions before I cut off again? And I know Corey has my information. I know we have the logo on the website. That's really the easiest. You just click through that. It's a really easy way to find us also. We'll have an article, I think, coming out on the 15th that talks a little bit more in depth about it also. Yeah, I mean, I've used it for so much. I used it for band trips a few years ago for my son. They were going to Hawaii and we did a split. We're 50-50. It helped pay for band trips, and people paid for their entire trip out of it, So it really does add up. It's just getting people in the habit of it.
And it really is a solid established company. I mean, you know, even though people haven't heard of it, I don't know where they've been hiding, but, you know, I never had any issue, you know, with access or customer service, and I don't know that I ever needed customer service, frankly.
Yeah, and we do have, our customer service team is 10 women and 1 man, Austin, one of the guys on my team. So I always say the ladies, he's like, wait, there's other people other than just ladies on there. I'm like, yeah. But the entire customer support team have all been coordinators themselves for many, many years, which is nice because they can relate, they understand. I think they do a fantastic job. I even have used them before. I generally am pinging them with questions that I have even. So certainly encourage people if you have questions on that. We also offer a webinar for onboarding now. So if you do end up, whether you're new or a seasoned or a new coordinator, Tori, to you can do our onboarding webinar, and it's really nice. It walks through all the different things, little nuances you'd want to know about, where to look for things on a dashboard or how to run a report, all of that. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, if there aren't other questions, I will get an answer to that on the checks on when, if they're submitted for that order, if it doesn't fall in Thanksgiving or when it does. So I'll find out on that too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate
Well,
it.
I will hop off and let you all continue, but thank you so very much and feel free to reach out anytime.
All right.